Welcome back to the SA Sports Show. I'm James Rogers from Squash SA. We're down here at Tonsley 24/7 at the new Tonsley Innovation Centre. And I've got a very special guest today. It's John Cranwell from Inclusive Sport SA. How you going, John?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Great to have you. Yeah, good. Look, we're going to talk a little bit about inclusion and the benefits of inclusion.
Sure.
So, first off, when I say inclusion, what does that mean to you, someone in the industry?
Yeah, so I deal with it all day, every day. So I tend to forget a little bit that not everyone deals with things in an inclusive way. So for us, it's about making sure that all people, regardless of race, religion, background, colour or creed, have access to sport and recreation, whether that be as a participant, as a coach, as whether it be someone supporting in a club environment, even spectators to that example. But yeah, it's just really about making things welcoming and friendly to everyone and taking down barriers that prevent that.
Okay, so what benefits can being inclusive or inclusion have to South Australian sporting clubs? What kind of things are they going to notice that if they, start being more inclusive, what are they going to notice happening in their club?
Yeah, sure. There's probably two fronts to attack a question like that. The first being that there is a real business case for it now. So what we find in sport is that the key audience for a particular sport is already there. And so when sports are looking to expand, they need to actually go to new markets. And some of the easiest new markets are, well, if you're a male-dominated sport, you can attack the female side of things. And if you're a sport of mostly Anglo-Saxon, maybe some newer rival groups could be a really good target to increase participation in your sport. So there's new groups to build numbers playing. And the other one is that it just gives diversity of thought, because what you find in sport, and sport's notorious for seeing the bad things happen over the years, if you get a whole bunch of people standing in a room together agreeing on all the same things with the same background, suddenly you're rubbing a ball with a bit of sandpaper and not really appreciating diversity of thought.
Yeah. And what are the most inclusive sports at the moment in South Australia? The groups doing the right things and helping everyone out to build these great environments you're talking about.
Yeah, look, I probably won't say any specific sport is better than the other, but there are organisations that are doing really good things in specific areas. So one of the ones that have done some really good work over the years is the South Australian Cricket Association. So they've done some great work with their Disability Sports Academy, so doing a lot of work around their high performance squads and trying to filter that down. But what we also find is that you get these really random examples. So the Grange, I think it is, tennis club, had a young man just watching a game one day, and eventually the club members asked him to join in, and he was an Afghani refugee, and then he started an Afghani refugee program there and grew it from there. So it starts in the grassroots, and it's also examples being at the high level of sport too.
Okay. Squash developed some wheelchair sport stuff a long time ago, but it never really went anywhere. So there might be other organisations or clubs out there who think they're starting to do the right thing, but it just can't get the traction. So what would a club or an organisation have to do once they come up with an idea to actually get it successful?
Sure, there's one simple thing they do, and that is to get to know the audience they're trying to do that for. So one of the problems that we find in this space is that someone has a really good idea, but they don't necessarily have the engagement with those that they're trying to work with. So what we're just saying is get to know your community, understand what their needs are and what they're trying to achieve, and work on it together, because it might turn out that just no one wanted to play squash in a wheelchair, or it turns out you were asking in the wrong place.
Yeah, okay. What organisations can clubs or groups or other state sporting bodies go to? Like, where do we go for help? Who should we contact?
Sure, there's probably three main areas to go to. One being your National Sport Association, where you've got them. The others are groups like myself, where it's Inclusive Sport SA here in South Australia, can help with that sort of advice. Or the other one is, again, going straight to the community you want to target and asking them, because no one knows their own community like the people within it.
Yeah, sure. All right, some great advice there on inclusive sport and how to get everyone inclusive into your game and your club. Back to you guys in the studio.
And welcome back to SA Sports Show. Your host Greg Anderson with co-host Barry Curtin. Barry, next guest, Mark Lacey from Adelaide City Soccer Club. I could talk soccer all day.
It's my old team.
Is that right?
It's my old team. Before, when Adelaide City were playing with your Serge Melders and your Stevie Maxwells and all these guys, I used to love them. And they disappeared off the scene, obviously. You got Adelaide United. And I was really interested when I saw that we were going to be joined by our next
Marcus,
guest.
welcome to the show.
Thank you, Greg.
Halfway through the year and Adelaide City are sitting very comfortably. So far, so good.
Yeah, look, it's been a great start to the season for both our men and women first grade teams. They're positioned, I think, very close to the top of the table at the moment and playing some great football. And already, we're nearly approaching the halfway mark in the season.
Okay, now big question here. Are we going to see, or is there moves afoot for Adelaide City to join the national competition so that every season we have two derbies? We have the big derby with Adelaide
that
United.
would be great.
Is there moves afoot? I've read things, you read things and whatever, and there's been some talk. Is there moves?
Look, from a club perspective, our stated aim is to move into the national competition. In what shape or form and when, I don't know, but that's what we want to achieve. That's the direction that we want to head to. At the moment, the FFA have said that they are looking to expand the A-League competition and bring in 2 teams for the 19-20 season. So that's not too far away. But there's bids from all around Australia, and we have to, take ourselves seriously and consider how we approach that.
Going back sort of yesteryear, that derby with West Adelaide and Adelaide City, I mean, nothing better. And it was
fantastic.
There's a lot of people, reminisce about those days and the competition that we played in and the derbies, and certainly the derby is a great thing for all sports when they come around. And it's something that perhaps in Adelaide could be a great attraction.
Well, it's exciting. It's something that I think Greg mentioned it off air a while ago that our derby at the moment, if you like, is us versus Melbourne Victory. That's supposed to be our big. I can't get enthused about it all that much, but people are saying this would create amazing interest in soccer in South Australia if Adelaide City all of a sudden became a member of the national competition and we're playing Adelaide United twice a year at Hindmarsh, or as maybe Adelaide Oval or whatever. Although I'm not a great fan of Adelaide Oval. I don't think you get the right... Soccer to me is great for its atmosphere. And I don't know whether you get that at Adelaide Oval like you get it at Hindmarsh or...
Well, they're both very good venues they're different venues. I mean, Adelaide Oval's brilliant in its new form, and the capacity and the facilities are outstanding. Similarly, Hindmarsh has the proximity that you are very close to the sideline. Yeah. The atmosphere when it's full is fantastic at Cooper Stadium, it's called. So they've both got their place. And both great venues. Yeah.
And what about the stroke? It's easy enough to say let's add another side, and hopefully Adelaide gets or South Australia gets that side. Is a structure in place to be able to cope with another team? I suppose in looking at the numbers of kids playing soccer, both women and men, growing sport.
Yeah, it is a growing sport. Both male and female counterparts have a tremendous number of juniors playing across Australia, and South Australia is no different. I think it's the most highly participated club sport in Australia. So there's a lot of kids playing in our club. We've got about 500 kids that are playing the sport. And
so at your club?
Yeah.
You got 500?
I think it's a bit more than that, actually, yeah.
Wow, we got one team out of South Australia. Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We run across 3 venues, and 2 in the city and 1 at Oakton. So we've got to have the capacity to be able to provide the opportunity for the kids to play and develop their football.
Yeah, and all that you would put in a bid, if you like. That the amount of participants you've got, both men and women playing. You're a strong club. You're a very strong club.
Yeah, it's got a significant number of facilities and infrastructure in place. The staffing continues to grow at the club, and of course it's got a great history of success and culture.
Relationship with Adelaide United?
Well, we have a relationship currently, and I think it's a good one because it provides an opportunity for our players at this stage to progress further. And as often we have players that are moving to Adelaide United. Nikola Malusnic is one in the men, and
exciting player.
It's a great player. Has had a great season for Adelaide United, and similarly in the women, there's a number of women who play W League from Adelaide City. I
was going to mention that a friend of mine, Peter Dorber's daughter, Chelsea, I think it is. She's Adelaide City now, also now training with the Matildas. So, it's a great avenue to just keep improving.
Yeah, she's a wonderful player, and we're very honoured to have her in the team. She's a great part of the club, and I hope she progresses further, absolutely, and hope we can contribute to her development.
Because I was, the school I went to was St Michael's College, and soccer was a huge part of our school, and not only just in, I suppose, some of our soccer players end up playing, local league, and then they go and play, for the National League. But quite a few also then graduate to, overseas football clubs, whether it be in the European or the Italian league. So, it's endless opportunities.
Well, it's a global sport, isn't it? And that's certainly one of its great appeals, is that it provides opportunity for people to be part of the world game. I think there's more members of FIFA than there is in the United Nations. So, it's a very large sport globally, and great opportunities if the kids and the players can get to play overseas.
What I find difficult about the game is the movement of players. Like Adelaide United, when they played Melbourne City earlier on this season, it looked like an internal trial to me, because Melbourne City had so many Adelaide United players. Malik, Stefan Mork, there's more. The little left footer on the wing there, I forget his name now. But it just looked like to me they're like an internal trial. These guys last year played for United. Boom, now they're gone. Malik's another one.
Well, there was a lot of players, quite a number of players that went from Adelaide United to Melbourne City. Some of those that you mentioned there are ex-Adelaide City juniors, like Stefan Morgan, Ben Garuccio and Bruce Kamau. At the time, I think they're probably all players that are in that game. So, there was a big move to
it's going to be similar to the AFL system as well, when you've got players are moving for opportunities, contracts, lifestyle, whatever the case may be.
That these guys go. Is it money? Is it cash?
Look, that's probably a question for them. It's a package that was appealing, obviously, for them to move to Melbourne City. And Melbourne City is a well set up club. They've got some good infrastructure and some good resources.
We don't have a salary cap, do we? Here?
Yep.
We do have a salary cap in the A League.
Yep.
Well, how do they do that? That really surprised me, because of the number of players. It wasn't just one or two. There were 5 and very good players. It just went boom, boom.
They did. There was a move to Melbourne City
really
by a
weird.
number of the players.
But I find that in soccer all over the world, if Stefan Mork was my favourite player, which he almost was there for a while, but he's a good player, this boy, I'll keep an eye on him, and then bang, he's wearing blue. So it's hard to buy his shirt, is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to go out and buy his shirt and think, well, I'm a Stefan Mork boy now, so I'm going to wear... Do you know what I mean? And you don't know he's going to be there next year. That always got me about the game. I don't know whether it's
they've got contracts
loyalty,
for a certain period of time, and if there's an offer put to them, I suppose like most
happens
sports,
in all sports. The trend goes going.
They can move on.
Footscray or Western Bulldogs. One thing I was going to quickly ask: Adelaide City, black and white, United, state colours. Will you add the teal into your Guernsey? I'll leave you with that, Marcus. Thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it and giving us a bit of enlightenment to the soccer in South Australia, which is obviously very, very healthy.
Good to see you, Marcus.
Thanks very much, boys.
We're back after the break.